Cowboys Vikings, the final score. Dallas pulls off the upset to stay right in the middle of the NFC East race. They win 31-28. Andy Dalton, despite a pretty brutal interception in the red zone, or at least the ball was throwing in the red zone, I should say, does pick up a victory. His first victory as a member of the Dallas Cowboys as a full-fledged starter. Elliott ran for 100 yards for the first time in what feels like forever. I will make note, by the way, the Cowboys didn't always have their best stuff in this particular game. The defense kind of struggled as things went along throughout this matchup here. The Cowboys get the victory. They did allow a significant amount of points as things went along and as the game kind of wound down and everything there. The run defense, we'll talk more about that later, kind of faltered as things went along. I do, however, want to make an important note that Kirk Cousins had a very good day passing the football. 22 of 30, 314, 3 touchdowns. Now, the issue was several of those came as the game kind of wrapped up, and there was a brutal drop by Justin Jefferson that absolutely kind of killed the Cowboys in this one. But Dallas picks up a win, 31-28. So let me know in the comments section who you think should get the game ball. Is it Andy Dalton? Is it Donovan Wilson? Tony Pollard had a 42-yard touchdown run. Zeke Elliott ran for 100 yards. CeeDee Lamb was good. Amari Cooper had 6 for 81. DeMarcus Lawrence was everywhere. I'll tell you who I think should at least be considered for this award. How about Kellen Moore? I thought his play calling, although not perfect because no coordinator ever is, I thought his play calling was pretty damn good. So let me know in the comments section who you believe should get the game ball tonight for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, we told you guys, and like I said, maybe the Cowboys are going to win, maybe they aren't, but I think the Cowboys are at least going to cover this game, and that is exactly what happened. So, if you signed up and deposited with our sportsbook partner, BetUS, we got you guys covered. You didn't need to. The line opened and ended up being Vikings minus 7.5. The Cowboys won by 3. Easy cover there for the Cowboys. So if you signed up and deposited with chatsports.com/bet, use promo code Cowboys125, and you put money on the Cowboys to cover, congrats. You guys won this one. It's a big-time W for you guys and for the Cowboys as well. All right, the NFC, as someone pointed out in the comments, least right now. The Cowboys, they are technically 4th. Now, it's not going to matter 2 versus 4 right now because the NFC East is absolutely wide open. A half game separates the Eagles, the Giants, Washington, and Cowboys from each other. That is it. That is a minuscule difference. The Cowboys, meanwhile, have a very real chance to get into the heart, if not take a potential lead in the NFC East with their game on Thanksgiving. The Washington football team comes to town. The winner of this game puts themselves right in the mix. The loser, it's a little bit dicier. Now that Ravens game, not feeling particularly great about it. The Bengals, with no Joe Burrow, all of a sudden looks very winnable. The Niners in Week 15 are very banged up. The Eagles in Week 16, well, that game might determine the NFC. The Giants in Week 17 might determine it too. The Cowboys, if they just had Dak Prescott, I mean, shit, guys, they'd win their five of their last 6 games. But they don't have Dak. They found a way to beat a not-so-great Minnesota team. But you know what, the NFC East? It's filled with not-so-great teams. Team Tank, look, I am on Team Tank, but I always like seeing wins. I'm going to be honest with you guys, that's important to me. So who wins the NFC East? Get your votes in right now. Type DAL for the Cowboys, type WAS for Washington, or type PHI for the Eagles, or NYJ for the Giants. Get your votes in. I'm going to make this the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get that ad break, scroll on down and get your votes in. Let's talk Donovan Wilson now, who I truly believe had his best game as a Dallas Cowboy player. And I was very impressed by the job that Wilson managed to put together. Now, I also want to make note. Look, he had two forced fumbles, if you want to call it that way there, because he kind of split one with DeMarcus Lawrence, but he knocked off two in the end there. Donovan Wilson had 2 forced fumbles against the Minnesota Vikings. He had a half sack when he took it away, of course, from Kirk Cousins. Shared that with DeMarcus Lawrence. 9 tackles as well. Donovan Wilson played very, very well. But you know what also gives me like, oh, yeah, that's great and everything, and that's important, and I'm glad it's the case? You know what else kind of worries me, at least a little bit? Why wasn't he out there earlier? Why did this Cowboys coaching staff continuously, by the way, say, oh, you know what? No, we don't want Donovan Wilson out there. We think Darian Thompson's a better football player. How does that make sense? The answer is it doesn't, that it's stupid. But you know what? This is a good sign. Because Donovan Wilson, guys, he might just end up being a long-term piece. And you might not be looking for 2 safeties in this year's NFL draft. You might instead just be looking for 1 safety to pair with Donovan Wilson. That is a very big deal for the Dallas Cowboys moving forward. Injury note here around the Dallas Cowboys. Anthony Brown left the game with a hip injury, did not return late. Now remember, Anthony Brown wasn't playing particularly well down the stretch, and that certainly is a significant red flag because he was getting worked by Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen. Then again, that's not a matchup you want anyway. Rashard Robinson, Jordan Lewis got some run late instead. I don't know the severity of this Anthony Brown injury. He was not out there late. The Cowboys have been hit really hard by secondary issues all year long, so we'll see what happens on that one. We will let you guys know, but for now it is a hip injury, or actually I think I misspoke. I believe it's a rib injury for Anthony Brown. Double check that real fast. Sorry, we're throwing together graphics last second here, but injury for Anthony Brown. All right, Andy Dalton, meanwhile, I believe that he had his best game ever. I was very impressed by what Dalton had to do. Now, that doesn't mean he was perfect. And stat sheet-wise, and even moments-wise, there were plays you're like, oh, God. And in reality, Cowboys probably should have lost that game because Andy Dalton threw one directly to Chris Boyd and ended up falling incomplete, and it ended up being not that big of a deal, but that play probably should have cost the game for the Cowboys. A quick note, by the way, rib injury. I forget what I said earlier. Rib injury for Anthony Brown. My bad, I misspoke on that one, but that's the update there. I was fine with the play of Andy Dalton. He got bailed out a couple times by mistakes by the Vikings defense. The dropped interception, all of that kind of stuff there. In the end, I think that the Cowboys kind of showed, hey, this is why the Cowboys rolled with Andy Dalton. This was a fine showing out of him. So get your votes in on this one here. Should the Cowboys continue to start Andy Dalton? Let me know in the comment section. Type 1 for yes or type 0 for no. I am fine with rolling with Dalton. He was better in today's game. He was not perfect, but he certainly was better than what the Cowboys have shown in recent weeks at the quarterback spot relative to what Andy Dalton was playing. Now the Cowboys are right back in the heart of the NFC East race. CeeDee Lamb set a record today, setting the most for the Cowboys, I should say. Catches for a rookie wide receiver. He surpassed Hayes earlier in the game with his 47th catch of the season. That is a new mark for any Cowboys rookie over a pretty decent list of Cowboys rookie receivers. CeeDee Lamb, meanwhile, 4 catches, 34 yards, and 1 touchdown. That's a pretty solid showing for CeeDee Lamb on my fantasy bench, but I played Tyreek over him, so whatever. I certainly get it right there. Lamb is showing he is clearly going to be a long-term part of this Dallas Cowboys organization. He is clearly a future star, if not borderline already a star, given the lesser quarterback play without Dak Prescott. I have been impressed by CeeDee Lamb. All right, we will be live for the Cowboys-Washington football game, a must-win game for those of you trying to win the NFC East. The Cowboys potentially could take back over first place in the division. If you want to join us for that game, make sure your notifications are turned on. You got to be subscribed, of course, but subscribe and turn those noties on. That way you don't miss out when we spend Thanksgiving together, properly distanced, of course, as well, breaking down the Cowboys-Washington game, just like we did earlier today. Let's talk about DeMarcus Lawrence here. The stat sheet isn't going to really wow you because there were some split plays and all of that, but DeMarcus Lawrence played very, very well. I think there was actually at least one tackle for loss that Lawrence had in this game. There was some dispute over who actually got it, but the official stat sheet says 4 tackles, half a sack, and 2 quarterback hits. Lawrence, again, the stat sheet doesn't even do it justice, especially early in that game. He was everywhere. I mean, he was blowing up plays by himself. He was super impactful. Lawrence was, once again, the guy you paid him to be. He was impactful again, and ever since he got a little bit healthier in that Browns game, or after that Browns game, I should say, he's been awesome. He played very, very well. Now, I do want to look ahead a little bit here to this run defense, because to open up the game, Dalvin Cook was playing something like, or averaging less than 3 yards per carry, but he finished the game, however, the 115 yards, plus 5 catches for 45 yards, because Jalen Smith cannot cover him at all. But he averaged over 4.3 yards per carry, or averaged, I should say, 4.3 yards per carry in the end. That was the second half defense for the Cowboys, outside of that final drive, was bad. They were in the first half, they were so good. They played really, really well. But after that, they just didn't quite have it as good. In the end, I think you would take barely under, I should say, 4.5 yards per carry. That's not a bad sign in the end for Dallas. It's not broken. It wasn't fully fixed, but the Cowboys' run defense in the end was significantly better.